the banks, they have already agreed and signed into law that they will rob you. They're going to take your bank accounts. That's what's called a bail-in.
The greatest wealth transfer in history is occurring. You might as well make commissions from what is already going to happen.
My goal for everybody listening, and Jorge's goal, and I thank God that Jorge and I connected, we are going to own North America. Now, we're going to take it over with this business because this is the only thing that's going to save everybody.
My name is Jorge Bueno. I'm on the line with V, the Guerrilla Economist.
Folks, gold and silver is the currency of kings.
Codex team members and Rogue Money Karabars members, welcome. My name is Jorge Bueno. I'm on the line with V, the Guerrilla Economist. He is our upline sponsor. How important is it to have not just good delivery, but gold, man? Just having access to gold in these times. And I also want them to know a little bit about you because people really need to find out that we have some heavy hitters on our team. And I think they'd like to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jorge. It's a pleasure being on. It's a pleasure being on with this team. I just want to thank all of you guys for, chiming in and listening into this important broadcast. I am somebody who spent a great deal of time working within the financial industry, working not only in Wall Street, but in the City of London as well. And for those that don't know, the City of London is not, London. It's actually, there's a 10 blocks, square radius block in London. Mm-hmm. That's called the City of London, which is their financial equivalent of Wall Street. In fact, the City of London is greater than Wall Street. Okay, so I've done both, and I worked for various companies. I worked for one of the banks at that time from the UK. I've also worked for a major European commodity broker that we broker strategic metals, precious metals, and I've done some stints as an analyst. I've also worked as a think tank contributor through a major U.S. think tank. And so there's a great deal of work that I've done in terms of creating, policy papers, doing a lot of analysis work. Being in the world that I was in, Jorge, I kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. I saw what was coming down, and I knew that I had to do something. And when the banks started to do things that I did not agree with, I became very, very vocal about it. And in my world, the more vocal you become a target. And eventually in 2011, I was let go from the bank. And here I am. I'm just married at that point, and I had a kid on the way. I'm unemployed, no insurance, and no place to go. And so one of the things that I was able, I did odds and ends contracts and projects that I worked on the side. But what I also started to do, I started writing various articles because I couldn't sleep at night. I just could not sleep at night without getting the concerns and the burden that I had in my heart for people out there. And I just began to write. I didn't want any money. I didn't want any fame. I didn't want nothing. Mm-hmm. All I wanted to do is get the word out of what is coming down and make people aware of what is happening and what will happen. I look at numbers every day, and the numbers tell the story. You cannot deny it. And I'm talking about real numbers, folks, not the fictitious stuff that's coming out of the government. Real numbers.
Right.
And when I started looking at this and I started writing, and a few websites started picking up, my articles and started posting them, stevequayle.com being one of them. And all of a sudden, people started, reading what I would write, and they would say to themselves, well, who the heck is this guy who calls himself V?
Right.
And whatever I'd write about would become headline market news within about a week or two. And this began to continue for a while. I gave the play-by-play of what was happening in the Eurozone, and we see, almost 3 years later where we are currently. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, who is this character? Everything he writes about winds up happening. He's pretty darn accurate. And then one day I got invited to a well-known nationally syndicated radio show. And I think it was January the 11th, 2013. And everything that I spoke about that night for 3 hours became headline news within 2 weeks later. The currency wars were going to be in full swing, the crisis in Japan, the crisis in the Eurozone, the coming crisis into the United States, what's going to happen with the QE 1, 2, and 3. I said that QE is never going to stop. All these things that were happening, people were like, who is this V? And they initially started calling me the financial insider, and then somebody somewhere coined the term, he's a guerrilla economist, and guerrilla as in freedom fighter, not the ape. Right. And I just ran with it, man. And so that's my background, and here I am, and I was so blessed and fortunate to be picked up by other numerous radio shows and programs and interviews that I've done with so many people, and being able to connect with so many people throughout the world broke my heart that many, I travel a lot. And when I, travel the world and been around and talked to so many people from all over the place, I see that so many they understand, they get what's happening globally, and they're more prepared than most Americans are. And it really bothered me that Americans have no clue. I mean, folks, you got to realize this. I read an interesting statistic the other day, and that is that Americans are the least traveled group of people on the entire planet, apart from North Koreans. That is huge. I mean, we are living in an insular bubble, thinking that we're the central focus of the entire universe. And so we don't really recognize the signs or the times or the seasons in which we're living. And one of the things that I knew, because, we put such a trust in paper, think about this for a second. How much money you have in your bank account, your savings account, your 401k, your Roth IRAs, your municipal bonds, your regular bonds. It's all fictitious paper backed by the ultimate paper, which is the dollar. And I knew that as soon as the Fed, since 2008, after that bubble imploded in 2008, I knew the Fed was printing. And they were printing and buying massive amounts of debt, buying massive amounts of U.S. dollars, while the rest of the world was getting rid of the dollars. And this continued for so long that I knew that it was only going to be a matter of time before the rest of the world started realizing and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to be doing this anymore. We're not going to have any part of this anymore. We're going to move forward with what we need to do to insulate ourselves from the dollar, because you guys are printing money out of thin air, backed up by nothing, like it's going out of style.
Yeah.
And it scared me, man. It scared me because this constant printing and devaluation is going to destroy American saving. And you cannot keep printing. You cannot keep throwing debt on top of debt on top of debt, expecting a different result. And eventually, the whole system collapses. So I said to myself, when I deal with major clients, I know the answer is precious metals. Folks, gold and silver is the currency of kings. Okay? It's the currency of kings. Right? These guys will tell you, some of the wealthy people tell you, hey, don't buy gold. What are you going to do with it? Meanwhile, they're in the background buying gold like you would not believe.
Oh, yeah.
When I have clients, those with 7, 8, 9-figure incomes, contact me and say, hey, you know what, V, I want to buy $5 million worth of gold. What we would do is we don't go to Jimmy John's Coin and Carry down the street. We would contact brokers in what's called a good delivery network. And a good delivery network focuses a network that is outside of the banking system. Therefore, it's free of any third-party counter risk. In other words, the gold that you would be able to procure, nobody else owns it but you. And if a banker or something goes bust, nobody has claim to your gold but you, so you ain't got to worry about it. It's not collateral for somebody else's debt. So that's what being free of third-party counter risk means.
Yes.
So when we deal in good delivery, the broker would take $5 million of a client's fund, goes directly to the refiner, buys the $5 million in gold. It's picked up by a logistics company, and it's vaulted. And everything is serial numbered, it's, bonded, insured, the whole 9 yards. And it's stored either in, we would store it either in Switzerland or in Singapore or in Hong Kong. And it's free and clear of any sort of government intrusions. It's outside of U.S. jurisdiction. It's free from confiscation. It is a great way for those with means to protect their wealth. And I said to myself, hey, this is wonderful for people who are wealthy. But what about those who are not? What about those who don't have $1 million or $100,000 to throw into gold? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And for years, I was looking for a solution, Jorge. Years. And then one day, I had this guy named Jeff just kept hounding me. Hey, look at this thing called carrot bars. I was like, man, what is this? Well, is this some sort of network marketing scheme? I don't want to be a part of that. Right. And he's like, no, take a look at it. It's not network marketing. It's affiliate marketing. And I said, whatever. And then eventually, after at least a month and a half, this guy would pester me day in and day out. I said, all right, fine, I'll take a look at it. I took a look at it. I was, first of all, blown away by what I saw. Secondly, I made some phone calls. I called up my contact. I called up my guys who are connected in Europe, and I said, hey, tell me about this carrot bars thing. the reports that I got back from them were, B, it's a great thing. The company checks out A-OK. There's no fraud involved. The CEO is an upstanding individual. This is not a scam, and this is absolutely legitimate. And I was blown away by the fact that they're using the same refiners for their gold in the Good Delivery Network. For those that don't know, the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, that sets the standard for gold. In other words, when China and Russia and India, they want to buy gold, a couple hundred tons of gold, they're not going to just anybody. They're going to an LBMA refiner because that's where you get the purest gold. And it blew me away that Carat Bars is able to do that. And then on top of that, Carat Bars is able to vault your gold. And, they vaulted for you in Germany. And not only are they able to vault your gold, if you need it, they can liquidate it. And you can, A, they could mail it to your house if you want it. Or B, they could sell it off, liquidate it, and wire the funds to you. And I said to myself, this is the same thing we do on a much larger scale for institutional investors and for sovereigns that now Carat Bars is so creatively doing for the average person. Folks, you have that you cannot get a better deal than this. You cannot get a better setup
the infrastructure.
This. And I'll tell you right now, the infrastructure involved Carat Bars, there's no competition. There's no competition. I looked at two other companies. They're not even close. They're not even in the same ballpark. That's what got me going into Carat Bars, Jorge.
Yeah, and it's exciting because we communicated originally, because I found out about Carat Bars through you last September 2014. You talked about it on your show, and you blasted it out, and I'm like, I'm in. It wasn't even a question in my mind. I knew that because of who you are and what you stand for, and the fact that you'd done research already, I knew that the situation was already vetted, and I was good to go. So I had no questions, man. I set up my account, but I didn't buy a package until April of this year. And April this year, I got this FedEx. It took like 3 weeks to get to me. And I ended up getting my package. Folks, this is the actual package that you'll be receiving. Sometimes different sizes and different contents inside. But V, I didn't tell anybody about this opportunity. When I bought my package in April 2015, I waited till about 4 weeks ago till I send out my first message. No one knew about it. Now you contacted me because you're like, hey, man, I see stuff going on in the back office. I need to know what you guys are up to, right? So how did you find out that we were doing these numbers and that we were actually creating lots of commerce within Carat Bars? Were you just kind of looking at your back office, or did someone call you and, hey, who's BizCodex? Or how did that end up happening?
I'll tell you exactly what's going on. I've been sitting on Carat Bars for a while now. I haven't, done much with it. So I've been trying to get the right team in place.
Yes.
And, I had this conversation with you. I'm trying to, waiting around for the right team to get in place so we can literally take Carat Bars to the next level. Folks, my goal for everybody listening, and Jorge's goal, and I thank God that Jorge and I connected, the goal is we are going to own North America. We're going to own it. We're going to take it over with this business because this is the only thing that's going to save everybody. And so the reason how I got a hold of BizCodex was Pat Gamble, my upline, who's somebody who's made 7 figures in this business already with Carat Bars. And he's only been in it for not even 2 years. And Pat's like, yo, who is this guy BizCodex? He is blowing it out of the water. I'm like, BizCodex, that sounds familiar. Who is Biz?
Right.
And I look, I'm like, oh, it's George Bueno. It's Jorge Bueno. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, let me reach out to him because he's obviously just, kicking butt and taking names. Let's connect. Let's see what we can do. And all of a sudden, that's when I reached out to you and I said, hey, Jorge, I've been sitting on Carat Bars for a while, waiting for the right team to come along. I have many people approach me. I have a very high profile in the alternative world in terms of financial, news and information and, what I can do to get out there. I just need to connect with the right team to do this. And then when I saw what you're doing with BizCodex, it's a match made in heaven, my man. So that's how I got involved. And I said, you know what? Let's do this. Right. Let's work together. All of us here in this team, we have all the brain trust and all the talent in the world. We can blow this thing right out of the water.
Yeah, I believe it. When we look at the incentive reports, the production numbers, and what everyone is doing, we know that Karatbars has about 350,000 affiliates signed up. And we also know that they're getting about 1,000 affiliates a day. But we also know in the workshop world, and I lead workshops on business funding, business credit, commercial credit, and so forth, how to get money for your corporation. We know that when I do my classes, about 5%, maybe 10% of the people take massive action. So out of all those affiliates that Karatbars has in their system, we know that not a lot of people are working it, and that is good, because all of a sudden, that neighbor down the street, he's going to hop on. She's going to hop on to Karatbars. All this commerce that's going to be generated, these people have to go under someone, under a sponsor affiliate, and that's going to be us, because we have the websites in place, and I'm tweaking the site for you already so that we can get the signups directly. But aside from that, the system really works. The system that Karatbars set up is, the links that they give you, go to the main page. And a lot of affiliates, they'll show up to the main page and they'll see the picture and the logo of Karatbars, and they'll say, okay, now what? And they don't realize that they have to click registration and then click affiliate and then go ahead and sign up. And then a lot of the people that are getting into Karatbars don't have some good leadership in place. Yeah, there's some webinars out there and there's people teaching things, but they're teaching it in a network marketing Amway style. And I know you don't like that. I don't like it either.
Heck,
right?
I can't stand it. I'm waiting for these guys to bust out a board and easel and start drawing circles and say, show the plan.
Right. Yeah, I know. And it's one of the things that I heard you say before is the dream is not necessarily to get a bunch of people on a webinar or in a room and say, hey, we're all going to be on yachts and we're all going to be on the beach someplace, and, what else is there? And I know that that's not the plan. There's a more altruistic vision. There's a true vision of becoming free and getting into what's been considered real money for 5,000 plus years, gold, and gold bullion specifically, where the banks, governments, central banks, Bank for International Settlements, these guys are not dealing in silver or in protein shakes, right? What the other network marketing companies are selling. They're not dealing in energy drink mix that's going to, you do some jumping jacks. So we're in a very good niche where I tell the people that are in network marketing, I say, look, man, you're in network marketing. I respect it. It's a good industry. Maybe the product changed your life. Maybe you lost a bunch of weight and you're an advocate for the product now. I get it. Stack gold privately in the background, right? This is for everyone. It doesn't interfere with what you're already doing, because this is just something you're doing on your own. And you were mentioning how normally a client of yours would need in the past hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and now they can get it here, the same infrastructure, to acquire by the gram right here in the little hard case with the gold ingot in the middle, 1 gram at a time, maybe 2.5 grams or 5 grams. And you got this hard case, and you also had the PAMP Swiss cards too, right? Can you talk about how the quality compared to an actual Karatbar, the Arger Horaeus, PAMP Swiss? Yeah.
Here's the thing. Number one, it's LBMA. Number two, look at the security features. That card is a special laminate. You could throw that sucker in the snow. You could throw it in boiling water. It's not going to peel off or come off. Okay? Now, what I mean by that is this. I used to travel with my PAMP Swiss card all the time. And if I would fly, I'd go in high altitude and come back down. And over time, just keeping the thing in my wallet, the laminate on my PAMP Swiss card was starting to peel off, starting to come right off. Mm-hmm. That's not good. No. Eventually, I had to take it out of my wallet, and throw it in my vault and leave it there. But with Karatbars, that I never have to worry about that. Number one. Number two, you have the LBMA serial numbers front and back.
Oh yeah.
You have the Karatbar security feature, and that Karatbar security feature, what does that mean? Well, it means this: you take it to a vault, they'll vault it for you, and if you take it out of the vault and then decide to put it right back within a couple of minutes, they'll take it back again without any questioning to the authenticity of the gold.
Yes.
Okay, why is that important? Well, it works this way. When we're dealing with a client, when that client says, okay, we want to take some gold out, when this is a large institutional investor, and this investor got $1 million in gold in a vault in Switzerland, he wants to have it taken out, he wants a couple of bars taken out. Okay, fine, we can take out the bars for him. But if he wants to put the bars back in that he's taken out, then we have to have those bars assayed at his expense, because we don't know if he's tampered with it by the time that thing was out of the vault.
Yes.
So we'd have to melt down the gold, test it, and then recast it at the investor's expense. And that gets very pricey. With Karatbars, with that Karatbar security feature, that vaulting company can relax and know that that bar has not been tampered with whatsoever. That's another security feature. And the third security feature is Karatbars actually has synthetic DNA directly into the gold. Meaning if you were to take Karatbars gold and melt it down, and it's the purest gold you can get, there is a synthetic protein strand that we can detect that we know that it's our gold.
That's right.
Nobody else has that. That, my friends, is what sets it apart. It is comparing a stripped-down Toyota Camry to a Mercedes S-Class with all the bells and whistles. There's just simply no competition. So for that security feature and that peace of mind, that's your $20 premium difference between a regular 1 gram versus a Karatbar. Because you can take that gram of gold, I don't know where you got it from. I don't know if it's gold-dipped tungsten.
That's
I have no idea what it could be. You know, it could be fake. So with Karatbars, there's no doubt to it. It takes that mystique and that mystery right off the table.
I love where you're going with this, because when you compare them side by side, maybe you've heard it, I've heard it too, V, where I get someone on Facebook that says, hey man, I just logged in, the spot price of gold is $11.30 and I can buy a gram for $45 at the swap meet or at my coin dealer. What's that typical response that you slap them with?
And I'm like, yeah, you can go ahead and buy that, but when the crap really hits the fan, or when you really need to vault it, or you need to move at a level that is more than just a simple barter thing, you need to have assurance. See, when things finally collapse, and we are heading for a collapse, what we're heading for, folks, is going to make 2008 look like a Sunday school picnic. When the crap really hits the fan, the thing that people are looking for is assurances and guarantees. There will be characters out there in environments where they're carrying fake gold, fake silver, you know, things of that sort. Having the Karatbar, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And number one. Number two, can you vault your little gram of gold you got off of eBay or Jimmy John's Coin and Carry? No, you can't.
Right.
Can you liquidate it? No, you can't. What do you got to do to prove the authenticity of it? Well, you're going to have to spend money to do it.
That's
so
right.
what is the value there? You see what I'm saying? It's worthless to me. You know, it's one thing if you got a 100-ounce bar with LBMA serial numbers attached to it. It's got the good delivery brand. I mean, that's one thing. But when you got little, you know, specks of fractional gold, you want to make sure that it is as authentic and as secure as possible. It gives the person a peace of mind. And that's the important thing. And the most important thing, folks, that little gram of gold you can get from Jimmy John's Coin and Carry or off eBay, that gram of gold don't pay you. Karatbars pays you. And if you set it up correctly, you can get your gold for free.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best part of it, is that you have a compensation plan attached to it. And when you're plugged into a team that has leadership, well, now you have lessons in life and lessons in marketing and lessons on marketing funnels, and you plug into a good team and the energy's there, camaraderie is there, you make some good friends, and these are like-minded individuals as well. And I think that you hit it right on the money, because when people say to me, I'm going to be traveling to Armenia, I can get a little thing of gold and, you know, my price is $50. Why am I going to pay $60? One of the things that they don't understand yet, because they haven't spoken with us, is that when I acquire my gold, and I know that when you acquire yours, you get it through an affiliate family member like your wife or someone over the age of 18, where now you're acquiring your Karatbars, but you're also making the commission because someone else is buying it technically. And then they put a 3% discount card that's called the preferred rate, and we get a bunch of 3% discount cards in our packages when you get your packages in the mail. And I'll go ahead and show you folks what you get inside your package, just brochures and things. But our product ends up being better priced than the Arger Heraeus or the Pamp Swiss products, because Karatbars has made it so that we can actually participate in our gold acquisitions. And one of the things that I've heard you say before, and I don't think these people know about the BRICS nations, the AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and New Development Bank, and how serious things are right now, how close we are to someone flipping that switch. Last week, I'd read somewhere on your site that it's just a matter of someone being at the wrong place, pushing the wrong switch at the wrong time. And this thing could, from 1 week to another, how fast could it happen, V, where the money in the bank, perhaps there's a bail-in, maybe banks are closed and the government has to struggle to come up with a new currency or a new valuation. How soon can that happen? Is it like, oh, it'll take 10, 12 years, or can it happen from 1 week to another?
It could happen literally 1 week to another. It could happen overnight. And if I were to give an analogy of where we are in terms of this situation, I'll tell you this, Jorge. Take, for instance, October of 1929, right before the stock market crash, and then take, for instance, the Cuban Missile Crisis. and you take those two events, you put it together, that's where we are right now globally. Okay? I mean, you want to talk about critical? Folks, we're hanging on by a thread. The fact whether the thread breaks tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year is irrelevant. What should freak you out and cause you not to act in fear, but in power, because you could be powerful or pitiful. You can't be both. Okay? The fact that we're hanging on by a thread, that should be motivation for you enough to do something, to begin the action to A, educate yourself. People need a financial education. Understand how the world really works, and then make the preparation. Get yourself gold, silver, get yourself carrot bars. Let me tell you this, guys. Since 1971, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and he allowed the real speculators to speculate up the price of the dollar and how we started screwing around with world trade and whatnot, the way the world works, the way it used to work is this. If you wanted to buy, let's just say you wanted to buy a good, the dollar is the world reserve currency. It's also the petrodollar. Yes. So if Uganda wanted to buy oil from Nigeria, well, what Uganda had to do is got to go first to get dollars and then buy oil from Nigeria. And then if Colombia wanted to buy special types of plantains from the Philippines, they would first have to go get dollars and then buy those plantains. So in every single one of these transactions, Uncle Sam got a little piece of the action. He got a little piece of the pie. And the world was fine with it. And oftentimes when countries had a dollar surplus, they would take it and then put it into the American treasuries or in the stock market. And the world was fine with it because at that time, America was, for the most part, a fiscally responsible nation. Yeah. Today, we're spending money like a bunch of drunken sailors on shore leave. Okay? We're not responsible. And the countries of the world are like, wait a minute, these people are spending money like with drunken abandon. Why are we holding on to their debt? Because the longer we hold on to the dollar, the less value it's going to become. And then 2008 happened. That implosion of 2008 and all the successive events has really started to strip naked the emperor. And everybody's starting to wake up and say, hey, you know what? The emperor has no clothes. You know what? The U.S. stock market, which is supposed to be this vaunted, wonderful thing of regulation and safety, and there's safety nets here, and there's safety nets there, and there's fail-safe devices here, and good investment, play the market in the long term. The world's starting to realize it's a casino for cocaine-induced nutheads to gamble in. That's what the stock market is. And they're like, wait a minute. There's no real volume. I mean, explain this to me. Stock market participation is at an all-time low. There's no volume in the marketplace. Why the heck do we have a 16,000-point Dow? Why the heck do we ever even had an 18,000-point Dow? It doesn't make any sense. Unless, of course, the numbers are fake. Unless, of course, the trades are manipulated. And the rest of the world is starting to realize that. I know it's controversial, folks, but the people of the planet are starting to realize that the mortgage fraud, the source of the mortgage fraud, was the United States. And people are starting to vet us. We're the source of the mortgage fraud. We're the source of the financial fraud in Wall Street. We're the source of the bond fraud. People are like, wait a minute. And on top of that, here we are bombing third world countries, spreading democracy. I mean, right. People of the world, especially a lot of the powerful economic nations, like to use the term BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And when most people hear the terminology BRICS, they just limit it to the 5 countries that make up that acronym. But folks, BRICS, as I'm speaking to you right now, as you hear my voice, is not just 5 countries. You can just call it BRICS Associates, because right now, it's over about 130 countries right now that are signed on to what the BRICS are doing, that are signed on to Russia, that are signed on to China, India, and what they're doing with, you just talked about the NDB, the New Development Bank. The New Development Bank is a rival to the World Bank, and the World Bank was something that the U.S. and the European nations have dominated in and used it to create loans for other countries, loans that are structured in such a way that those countries had no hope of paying back. And then it's a whole, strip mining operation. So the NDB, the New Development Bank, is an open and honest bank where nations could help finance their needs for infrastructure and development. And one of the key things that the BRICS are using for the New Development Bank is gold. Gold is going to be the backing of it, okay? And then China launches the AIIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The AIIB is the rival to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. People are like, oh, the IMF is a secret and vaunted and powerful organization. No, it's not. It's an empty white elephant. It is an empty office. That's all it is. It hasn't been funded in over 2.5 years. Okay, the primary funder of the IMF is China. And the membership of the IMF, when you look at the membership of the United States and the European nations, those are a club of debtors. Okay? The U.S. and the EU are nothing but a club of debtors. You know, they call it the G7. Okay, the 7 largest economies in the world. That's a bunch of BS. I like to call them the insolvent 7. Okay? They produce nothing. They create paper, and they sell it throughout the world. You know something, Jorge? We as Americans, we used to produce a lot of stuff in this country. I mean, there was a time where, you know, having it says "Made in America" meant something. Made in the USA meant something.
Mm-hmm.
I looked recently, and I've done this a few years ago. I looked at what is our biggest export. And folks, our biggest exports is not our technology, our cars, our this, or that. Our biggest exports are trash, recyclables, and pornography. That's wonderful. You're not going to sustain an economy that way. It's just not going to happen. And then, of course, the ultimate export that we have, if you really want to look at it, is the dollar. Well, now you have a problem. Nobody wants it. Everybody's dumping the dollar. A few weeks ago, China just dumped over $100 billion. And that's our biggest creditor. Our creditor doesn't want to loan us any more money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is starting to spin into a much, much bigger and bigger problem for the United States. We are being exposed for who we are. We're being vetted for the source of the problems that we are. And then we are being isolated. We're made to look like clowns. Because let me tell you something, folks. Remember what I said early in the program. We are the least traveled people on the face of the planet apart from the North Koreans. We are also one of the most poorly educated amongst industrialized nations. At the same time, we have this aura about ourselves that we're exceptional, we're the best, and whatever we do is just this grandiosity, this bravado. And that's a dangerous combination. We need to get off that Kool-Aid, take a step back, really critically evaluate the situation that we're in, and then you will wake up and understand what's facing you. And either you're going to be shocked by it and not do anything and go back to putting your head in the sand, or you're going to be provoked to do something radical. And I hope to God that you do something radical. You take the steps necessary to preserve your family's wealth, your wealth, and your financial security for generations to come.
And we can do that right here with the Karatbars package, the Karatbars affiliate. You know, a lot of people don't know that you can join for free. V, I mean, you know this because you've poked around the back office and you're in touch with the top leaders. I believe that you're one person detached from the founder. I think you're connected to the team that actually brought the Karatbars to America.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look at their growth, when you look at the type of growth, and then now in 2014 it was in U.S. opened up and a lot more countries opened up. And now you're able to build an organization, folks, not just where you live. You can sign up an affiliate anywhere in the world and they're going to be in your organization. So the marketplace is out there. The other thing is for 2015, they're projecting some really beautiful numbers. And we don't know where we're going to end up, but the target is $100 million. And then, of course, build out from there. And in any organization, you have the pioneering phase where you're just kind of getting started. Okay, let's poke around, let's brainstorm, post-it notes, let's sit around a table, product, service, how are we going to make money? So you have the pioneering phase and you have your accumulation phase, and then you have where you're going to start reaching your critical mass, and where we are right now in the momentum phase, where you take a look at that like hockey stick, where you're seeing the bottom and then boom, all the way, it goes all the way to the top. When we reach that critical mass, when our teams start getting educated, we listen to webinars like these, we listen to calls and training calls like this, we go to Super Saturdays, we plug into live events, because you have to commit to the team as well, because that's how you're going to start learning how to speak the language of money. Like you talk to V, he is the language of money. He'll just talk about what's happening. He'll talk about he knows. And one of the things that really frightens me, and V, I don't know if you have updated numbers yet, but you'd mentioned before, and I've heard it on your program, because you run a very large radio show, weekly show, that people can listen to at, they can go to roguemoney.net and then from there click onto the show. But where do you broadcast? And also, what are the new numbers in terms of unemployment, how many people out of the workforce? You know, that stuff is dire, man. I mean, you listen to that and it's like, really, half of the population is on some form of government assistance. I'm curious to know if those numbers have changed recently, or what are the updated numbers, and how can people listen to your show as well?
Well, people could listen to my show on freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. I mean, it's picked up by radio stations here and there. I don't know all the affiliates that are picking it up. But freedomslips.com schedule, if you click on Schedule A, every night Fridays, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to the radio. In terms of the numbers, and this is what's shocking. This is why I said that people need to start doing their research, okay?
Yeah.
The government says, oh, you know what? The unemployment rate is only 5.3%. But what people don't know is once you're past 3 months, they stop counting you, okay? I mean, how else do you have massive job losses? I mean, we just had another jobs report come out today. 270,000 people, again, out of the workforce, okay? Folks, when you really add up the numbers, those who are underemployed, those who are unemployed, the number is a little over 34% right now. That's the real unemployment rate, okay? Check this out. You have 94 million Americans permanently out of the workforce. 94 million permanently out of the workforce. What that means is they try to find a job. It's been 3 years later. They still cannot find a job. Okay. Then with that 94 million, you got 11 million people that are receiving unemployment benefits. Now you do the number. That's over 100 million already, right there. Wow. Okay. Then you have 52 million, not the 47 or 48 million, but 52 million that are on food stamps. And then the 52 million on food stamps, you also have 101 million receiving some sort of government benefit and or handout. You add all those numbers, and granted, there's going to be some overlap here and there, but you can effectively say that over 50% of the country is not working, is ineffective, is non-productive. But yet you have a 16,000 point down. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, unemployment rate's 5.3%. The Dow is 60. The dollar's at an all-time high. Folks, you're being lied to. And this is the type of shenanigans that we see before the market implodes. Look, right before 29, okay, before the stock market crashed to 29 and going into 33, you had these wild, crazy moves in the market. Okay, like crazy moves up to, we're seeing the same things today. We're seeing moves where, market's up 500 points, the next day it's down 700, then it's up 200, then it's down 500. I mean, crazy, crazy swings. And people don't realize the majority of the trades that are happening on Wall Street are done computer to computer with no human interaction whatsoever. It's called high-frequency trading. They're losing control of this monster. And it's only so far, you can keep the charade going. I always say this, Jorge. I always say, your Ponzi scheme is effective and it's good so long as you have a willing idiot to invest in your scheme. But as soon as you run out of willing idiots and people stop being an idiot and start waking up to what's really going on, then your Ponzi scheme is exposed for what it is. And that's what the United States economy is. It's a giant Ponzi scheme with reshuffled debt. Folks, you do not have a $16 trillion economy. Okay, the real economic numbers, our GDP is probably around $4 trillion. In other words, China is a much bigger economy than ours. Think about going back to the BRICS again. You have China, the largest manufacturing powerhouse. When people hear the word China, Jorge, they always think, oh, manufacturing, they make all the toys and trinkets, and China needs us to buy their stuff. No, they don't. People don't realize that the biggest sector of the Chinese economy is not manufacturing. It's banking. 4 out of the 5 largest banks in the world are Chinese. Over 40 to 50% of commercial real estate in Manhattan is owned by the Chinese. It's funny how Vladimir Putin and President Xi Jinping were staying at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, while Obama is God knows where. Okay, at the Chinese-owned hotel. Okay,
right.
So that's China. The banking and manufacturing and exporting powerhouse of the world. And they're linked up with the energy and commodity powerhouse of the world, which is the Russians. What they are creating with not just the BRICS, but also this thing called the New Silk Road, and also what they're doing with all the trade zones, the Eurasian trade zone that's coming out. Folks, they are creating the largest economic trading blocks in the world. That's almost 80% of global GDP, 70-some-odd% of global trade and manufacturing. This is a huge monolith of an area, and the U.S. is not invited to the party. I mean, think about that. That should be scary. Folks, let me give you an example. When the German economy, back in the Weimar Republic days, when the German mark hyperinflated, when it hyperinflated at that time, it was on parity with the dollar. The mark hyperinflated, and their economy imploded. If you wanted to mail a letter, you go down to the post office, you buy yourself a postage stamp for 12,600,000,000 marks. That's bought you one postage stamp. I mean, it was impossible. People would plaster their walls with German marks because it was worthless. But if you had 3 grams, not even ounces, but 3 grams, in other words, 3 carrot bars,
Yeah.
you were able not only provide yourself with food and shelter for your family, you were able to go ahead and buy a house. If you had 5 ounces of gold, you were able to buy a hotel. Okay? This is the new economic reality we're entering into. There's a reason why China is buying thousands of tons of gold per month, and the Russians. The unofficial numbers, and the Chinese always hide their numbers. They'll tell you some, as a joke, they say, yeah, we only have 1,600 metric tons of gold. But that's only in their central bank. They're not telling you what's in their sovereign wealth fund. Okay? And folks, the unofficial numbers are over 20,000 metric tons. Okay? And the Russians, the same thing. They're over 20,000 metric tons. The Indians, amongst their population alone, is 30,000 metric tons. So the world is entering into a hard asset reality. Why is the global economy going into a hard asset reality? Simple. They are tired of the fraud that's happening in paper. They're tired of paper manipulation. A hard asset, you can't manipulate it. It's a hard asset. You know, that's why China's launching their own gold price fix with the BRICS. They're going to be pricing actual gold bullion with actual physical gold versus the price fix that's in London, where a bunch of debtors are getting together. These are, again, it's amazing to me, Jorge, that a bunch of countries that are broken and solvent, that have no gold whatsoever, are involved in the pricing of gold. It is totally incredible. Totally incredible to me. They have no gold, but they're involved in the pricing of gold. So it doesn't make any sense. So China's like, okay, forget this. You guys are manipulating the price of gold. Why are they manipulating the price of gold? Well, if you're a central banker, Jorge, the last thing you want is high gold prices, because a high gold price makes your currency look weak. And you don't want that. You know, you want any sort of monetary credibility, you want low gold prices. So how do they suppress gold? They buy futures contracts, and they dump it. There's a major problem that's happening in these metal exchanges throughout the U.S., like in COMEX, and in Europe. The biggest problem is this. They'll have, let's say, 300 ounces of gold. They'll take out contracts for 11 million ounces. But the scheme works so long as those 11 million contracts out there don't come back and say, hey, give me my gold, because there's not enough gold left. Okay, so the Chinese and the rest of the world and the BRICS, they're tired of it. They said, okay, we're going to have our own gold fund, but we're going to price gold in actual physical and not paper. That is a game changer. You take that, you combine that with their IMF alternative, which is the AIIB, and the World Bank alternative, which is the NDB, the New Development Bank. Folks, it's game over. It's game over. The Middle East, the petrodollar is about to end. The Middle East is going to swing in favor of Russia and China. It's happening as we speak. The game is quickly coming to an end, and most Americans have no clue. They have no clue. Why? Because Sunday Night Football will be there, and Dancing with the Stars. Life is good, right? This is why it's so important. The only exploit people have, Jorge, is gold. Is gold and silver the only exploit that people have. And the best gold you can get is carrot bars. Get it. Because not only is it gold that can help you, it's financial insurance. I'm not even talking about investments here. That's not what this program is about. Right. This is about having your own private, offshore, gold savings account that nobody could touch. It is backed by physical, not worthless paper. And that is the insurance for you and for your family. That's what this is about.
Oh, man. When you talked about earlier, when after the Great Depression, countries got together through Bretton Woods, 1944, New Hampshire, and the countries of the world put gold on deposit with us, and then the U.S. became the good as gold global reserve currency, and then we suspended that in 71 with President Nixon, and then the petrodollar and OPEC, and we're forcing the whole world to acquire oil through U.S. dollars. That's the only thing that's been propping us up. But when you mentioned right now that countries are getting together and they're bypassing the dollar and they're not using the dollar in their global trade, where if you're in Chile and you want to buy from England, and it goes through the dollar first, where the banks settle and offset, central banks, and then it goes back into the local currencies. When those countries are now bypassing and going direct, and when we lose our global reserve status, do you know, or have you heard around with friends and other economists, people in the know, if someone has $100,000 in the bank and we go to another new gold-backed currency, what is the danger of losing some of that $100,000? I mean, will it be worth 30% less or 10% less or half, or will it just be wiped out? What are the things that you're hearing out there? Because that stuff is scary.
Absolutely. What a lot of us guys are talking about, okay, because things are so distorted. You know, in the beginning of the program, I talked about the numbers are manipulated.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers are manipulated, and that's causing massive distortion. Okay, you got the Fed dumping a ridiculous amount of money in the stock market. These massive distortions are making it impossible to do valuations correctly. So all the valuations are totally skewed. When we start looking at this, we start seeing the real revaluation of everything, especially gold, the way it should be worth. And we start reverse engineering the numbers from this distortions that we're dealing with. We start realizing that, hey, man, gold shouldn't be $1,100 an ounce. It should be $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we start doing some more calculations and we start realizing, hey, that the Chinese and the Russians, they want to create almost like a BRICS currency, almost like a gold-backed trade settlement. And when that revaluation occurs, we're looking at gold being $50,000 to $60,000 per ounce. That right there obliterates the argument that most people have, saying, oh, there's not enough gold to back up the currency. And I'm like, how about you add a couple of zeros on the end of that number, numbnuts? Would that work? And then all of a sudden, people start realizing, okay, all right, that makes sense now. So this is the new world that we're entering into. And the petrodollar, folks, let me tell you this. Look, the Russians, the Chinese, they just signed a $400 billion energy deal. Okay? $400 billion. I mean, that's a massive amount of money. I know in most financial programs, they throw around terms million, billion, trillion, and that just kind of goes over people's head. I'll put it this way. 1 million seconds is 12 days. Okay? 1 million seconds is 12 days. And I ask most people, how much is 1 billion seconds? And they're like, I don't know, maybe 24 days? 36 days? No, try 32 years. That's 1 billion seconds. It's 32 years. So when the Russians and Chinese are putting together a $400 billion energy deal that they're going to trade amongst themselves, bypassing the dollar, that is huge. Okay? When you have the Turks, the Indians, the Iranians, the Syrians, they're all working together to, hey, you know what, let's trade amongst ourselves, let's use our own currency, let's not use the dollar. That is causing the petrodollar to crumble. That is causing the dollar to lose its luster as the world reserve currency. And the rest of the world back in 2011, Jorge, got together and said, hey, you know what, 194 countries signed on at the UN and said, let's have a global currency reset where we can evaluate each nation's debt and base the peg of the value of their currency upon the debt to assets ratio. 194 countries signed on, except for one country, the United States.
Wow.
Not only do we not sign on, we went ahead and started a war in the Ukraine and then blamed it on the Russians. This is the kind of insanity that's happening. Now, people say, oh my God, I mean, that's controversial. Yeah, it is controversial, but it's reality. And people need to understand this. When countries grow broke, when they go broke, two things happen. They become very reckless in their foreign policy. We're seeing that today. Okay? And then their security apparatus that was once turned outward for looking for enemies from without begins to turn inward to look for enemies from within. That is huge, huge stuff. On top of that, folks, this country has already written into law, passed laws. They've created regulations that not only are they going to bail out the banks, they're going to bail in your bank accounts. For the Dodd-Frank Act, 30,000 pages. It's bigger than the Patriot Act and Obamacare combined. They had 5,000 lobbyists lobby D.C., and they spent $32 billion to make sure that this bill was passed. Wow. Why? Because the banks, in collusion with the government, which technically is called fascism, but over here in America we're calling it democracy, they have already agreed and signed into law that they will rob you. They're going to take your bank accounts. That's what's called a bail-in. Remember Cyprus? People went to sleep one night in Cyprus. They woke up, 60% of their checking account is gone. because the government needed it, or national security. That's the same thing that's going to happen here. Folks, you are living in the most perilous time in human history. Somewhere in the middle of this broadcast, I said, take the Great Depression and the Cuban Missile Crisis and put it together. That's where we are at this point in history. You need to wake up. You need to put down the nonsense remote control. Stop listening to the mainstream BS. Get educated. Start doing your own research. There's a wonderful thing called Google. You can find anything on it. I just swear. You can find anything on Google. Start using it. Use your smartphone besides for texting and Snapchat and Facebook. Bust out the web browser. Type in what's really happening. Check out roguemoney.net, membership site. It's $2.99 a month. Get all your financial news and information there. Check out Zero Hedge. I love Zero Hedge. It's free. Go there. Read the news. Find out what's going on in the economy. This is stuff that people need to know. It's so critical, Jorge.
Yeah, we're reaching that point where more and more people are waking up, and I find that people on my Facebook page and people that I know that, they're just average folks. They love to go to the baseball game and they work all week. They're not really in the know about what's happening with our currency crisis and those currency wars and all the things that our country is starting throughout the world in order to save the U.S. dollar reserve. And I find that when I talk to people, I talked to someone the other day, and he's promoting this software for trading, and it shows you how to trade. It's a network marketing thing, but it shows you how to trade in the markets. It does some Forex. And I thought, man, I heard you once on a broadcast talking about the book Flash Boys and high frequency trading. So I mentioned this person, he says, well, I make $30 here, $400 here. And I know from listening to you that it is a tradable market, but I also know that this brother that's starting, and he's getting a lot of people into it. And I keep telling him, hard assets, man, because when you're trading in paper, somewhere on your site, I had read that those gold future contracts or other gold contracts, that there's like 200 contracts to like 1 ounce of gold or something. What are those numbers? I mean, is that what I read?
No, that's exactly what it is. In terms of ratios, you'll have like 1,000 contracts out for like 1 ounce of gold.
Oh, man.
Or like 2,000 contracts out for every 1 ounce of gold. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme. And everywhere you look at it, it's unbelievable. Everything from the real estate prices. I mean, we are living in a bubble world, a bubble society. And, imaginary economy, it just can't continue because we're not producers anymore. They sold us this bad bag of goods, and we've convinced ourselves we're a consumer economy. Okay, we're a consumer economy. JCPenney is about to go bankrupt. Sears is going bust. Best Buy is barely staying afloat. Okay? Home Depot, sales are down. Lowe's, sales are down. Consumer confidence at an all-time low. Where's the improvement? Where's this recovery that people are talking about? Why is, again, the Dow at 16,000 points?
Right. Yeah, the numbers they're just highly manipulated, and I think people are starting to find out, especially when they're plugging into the Codex team and Rogue Money team. What I envision for these teams, all of us collectively, I believe that we can get people to a really nice number a week in terms of commissions. I know you have your MasterCard. I got my MasterCard in the mail the other day, and the importance of having the access of your commissions in euros loaded on an international MasterCard that you can access anywhere. I was talking to some friends the other day at my private club, and these guys are, they're quote unquote, this is who you would call a baller, right? They have a lot of money. They're very successful, and they're into gold. So people that are successful, they get it. V, so like, that when you talk to successful people, clients, people that have a bunch of money, wealthy people, it's a no-brainer. They're asking you, oh, gold bullion? Oh, man, LBMA? Yeah, it's a good delivery. I'm all over it. It's only the people who just haven't heard yet. They just don't know. They haven't been informed. And those are our people, those are our brothers and sisters who we're going to approach, who we're going to help to understand that there is a system that allows them to save in gold, get paid in gold, get paid in euros on their international bank account and international MasterCard, and also start building an income if they decide. But we don't have to tell people, like, V, there's a free account, right? There's it's called Unilevel. So when you log into your Karatbars account, it's called Unilevel. That's the free account. You don't have to buy a package, a business package. But if you do end up buying a package, then that means that you'll participate in not just the Unilevel, but you'll participate in the dual team system, which will allow you to get commissions. And you don't have to work for 5 years. Like, you'll hear of an opportunity in network marketing where you'll work for 5 years and you'll get the diamond, double executive, quadruple platinum Uranus level, and you got this big, like shiny precious metal sounding level, but you worked for it for 5 years. And then only then did you reach the 20% level in terms of commissions. Well, not here, because in Karatbars, all you have to do is say, I want to earn the highest commissions, and raise your hand. And you buy the VIP package because that gives you the highest commissions. That maximizes the comp plan. V, when you talk to people, don't they get it that VIP is where to be? And if they don't have that $2,000 for the VIP, then at the bare minimum, they should get the gold, which is right around $800. When you talk to people, do you even hear objections? Or are people just like, oh, really? Gold? Dude, I'm in. Get me in. How does that work? What is typically the kind of conversation that you have when you tell people, hey, I got this thing, it's gold. Now the average person, the average Joe could come in and start building a dynasty, wealth that lasts forever, where you can start getting into gold, but you don't need millions of dollars. Man, you can do it with $60 at a time. Do you hear objections, or do the wealthy people that you talk to, are they like, oh man, I'm in?
No, they get it. See, one of the things is that you look at every single poll. Folks, when I say this, and I said this once before, Jorge, I said, this is the right product at the right time. Like, my God, you want to talk about being at the ground level of something?
Yeah.
This is it. This is it. Because every single poll, Gallup poll, Quinnipiac poll, ABC poll, CNN poll, Fox News poll, Wall Street Journal, every single poll that you could think of, when they poll Americans, what is your number one concern? The first thing that pops up, absolute number one, is the economy. The economy is the number one concern with Americans.
Yeah.
And so they get it. Then you're telling them about Karatbars, the benefits of Karatbars, what it's doing, what the company is, what the flexibility is. It allows you to store offshore. It allows you, gives you liquidity. It's financial insurance. It's gives you that financial security. It is the insurance policy for your wealth, and people immediately get it. Now, and I always pitch the VIP or gold package. Okay, that's what I always pitch.
Yeah.
But for some people, there are some people that can't afford it.
Yeah.
I always tell them, okay, just jump on board at a bronze level or a silver, and then work your way up, and work your way up rapidly, because you can quickly get the commissions where you can just go ahead and buy yourself a VIP package at a discounted rate. Because once you buy into a package, the VIP cost comes down. You're just paying the difference between the packages. That's the thing, folks. This is ground level of something so unique, so revolutionary. It's the only company in the world that's doing it, that has the infrastructure set up. And I've seen, and I've talked to one of the higher-ups in the company who's basically one step removed from Harold. And what they told me about what they're going to be doing with the paper gold, and you and I talked about it the other day, the things that they're rolling out with is going to be tremendous, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I wanted to let the folks know also that if you want to get the presentation and everything else, you go to the General tab and you go under Downloads. Announcements are right here under Latest News, and, different announcements are here. But you go under Downloads, and then you go ahead and you click on the language. So I just went ahead and clicked English. Once you find here, you can go look at our presentation. This is all the approved stuff. So before you think about starting to make your own presentation, your own PowerPoint, before you guys think of, oh man, I need to learn Keynote, you don't have to do anything, because you might not even be compliant if you end up doing your own presentation. Here, they have the approved presentation. You have the fancy movie with Harold driving his Lamborghini Aventador, which normally would impress people, $600,000 car, but you would expect that from the leader. I'm not too impressed with someone that has that, who's the founder of the company. I want to know about that single mom who joined 2 months ago. Is she able to take her kids to a better brunch on Sundays? I mean, does she have the ability to take them to the movies, and this time buy, the big popcorn, and, that stuff is really pricey nowadays compared to what it used to cost. And he'll tell you, it's not that the prices are going up per se, it's that our dollar's worth less, and all of a sudden, the tickets to the movies, you look at a price sheet, you look at 1970s gasoline, milk, bread, all that stuff, and that, I heard you say this before, that is for the people who are naysayers. Oh, wait, what do you mean, gold? Yeah, whatever, spot price and this and that. All you have to do is let them know, man, how much are eggs, and how much were eggs like 5 years ago? Ground meat, right? You were saying that just the other day.
Absolutely. Remember 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, Jorge, ground meat was $2 a pound. Okay, now it's almost $5. It's like 4 and change now here, man. It's unbelievable. It's a 50 to 60% jump.
No, it's crazy. It's wild, man. When people look at their website, it's going to get them really excited because they'll be able to see all their pending commissions and this and that. And one of the things, when you go through this, it's the funnel and the process for how you're presenting the company and how you're presenting the opportunity. Here we are. Here's the corporate headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. Here's the founder, his vision to get gold into the masses' hands. And this guy's awake, right? I mean, I know about that. I mean, this guy... Germany's experienced some currency fluctuations as well and some collapses. And so this guy's a German guy. He gets it. He knows that things can happen at any time there in Germany and through the euro. So he's setting up some really cool contingency plans right now, not just getting approved by MasterCard. You don't just do business with MasterCard. You don't just say, hey, MasterCard, can you please put your logo on a credit card, a debit card where I can preload commissions? MasterCard is going to investigate you. They're going to find out what Harold Seitz, what he has for breakfast. I mean, they're going to look at him seriously, and they're going to find out, is this a real serious company? Because we don't deal with fly-by-nights. And the laws in Germany are so strict, and I've heard you say this too, V, that a company that is like a flim-flam or like a little scammy type of company would not even be able to exist in Germany. Right.
That's absolutely correct. In fact, multi-level marketing companies are not even allowed in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what people don't realize. And number two, the financial regulations in Germany are much more strict, much more stringent. You can't get away with the fluff, smoke, and mirrors that you got going on over here. It doesn't work over there.
Yeah. A lot of times I tell my friends I like wine. You know, we have a wine locker at our club and stuff. And you go to France, Germany, places like that, and if you pick your grapes at the wrong time, I mean, you're going to get busted. I mean, their regulations are wild, man. Yeah, so it's not like, yeah. I mean, anyone could look that up. I mean, you don't have to be a sommelier to know that you get busted for harvesting your grapes at the wrong time. But when you take a look at this presentation, you have a bunch of pages, and I know, V, you're very familiar with this, but for the people who just joined up and, you know, they kind of want to go through and find out what we're all about and this and that, talks a little bit about the goal, talks a little bit about, you know, crises and things that can happen. And I heard an interview where you talked to Cheryl Ann Gober, Pat Gamble, a couple other guys in there, bigwigs were on, and you were talking about the dangers of coins. You know, people say, well, why don't I just buy coins? No. I mean, aren't they regulated by the Treasury and Mint, and can they be confiscated if the government wanted it to? I mean, aren't coins in a totally different category than private issue gold bullion?
Yeah, it's in a completely different category. Let's say you got a 1 ounce American Eagle. I have gold coins. None of them have any sort of U.S. stamping on them. These are all from, you know, foreign countries. I don't got to worry about confiscation. But in the U.S., the way this country is, and the more tyrannical things are becoming with government, the more out of control they are, yeah, they can confiscate it. If you got a 1 ounce American coin, if they see it on you and you tell them that you have this, they're going to take it. They've done it before. We've seen FDR do it in 1933. Where he confiscated people's gold. So it happened then. It'll happen again. But you have bullion. It's a different category. It's not something that's minted by the United States. The way that things work in the U.S., it's property. If it's minted by the U.S., it belongs to the U.S. You're just a temporary holder. They can recall it, so to speak. They could ask for it back. They could confiscate it, in other words. Same thing with the currency. Folks, this is what people need to understand. You need to understand the difference between money and currency. Gold is money. Here's a quote from J.P. Morgan that I want everybody to listen to. He said this, and I quote, "Gold is money. Everything else is just credit."
Yeah.
Think about that. Gold is money. Everything else is basically a derivative of gold. Okay, that currency you have, thinking of that Federal Reserve note, also known as the dollar that you have in your wallet. What is it? It's currency. What is currency? Currency is legal tender. What's legal tender? Somebody else's debt obligation. You see what I'm saying? So those things have strings attached. So you get something that's minted from the U.S. Mint, it's in a U.S. Mint. There's strings attached to it. You don't fully own it. But you have bullion, like a Carrot Bars card. That's yours. Nobody could touch it because it doesn't have a stamping, a legal stamping from a governmental institution on it. That's the big difference.
Oh, issued by a private company. And the sheer fact that someone would have a $100 Federal Reserve note in their wallet And it does not say gold certificate or silver certificate. I mean, it's fiat, nothing's backing it. The fact that this is printed means that there's already a debt obligation behind it. So this is a debt note. There was a bond put up, the Federal Reserve was allowed to print, and there it is. They went ahead and printed these out in big sheets, but this is already debt just being in your wallet. So for those of you who are sitting there thinking, well, I'm going to have to buy gold, and isn't that going to get me into debt because then it's going to be in my drawer and I'm not making money? And someone messaged Marianne the other day, they said, why should I buy gold? Because I can't eat it. And she gave a beautiful response. Her response was, have you ever tried eating a Federal Reserve note? And, it's not much nutritional value on that, But
no, I'll take that one step further. I love when people tell me, what are you going to do with gold? You can't eat it? And I look at them dead in the eye and I sure as hell can eat my gold. In fact, I can take my 1 ounce of gold and go anywhere in the world and have a nice dinner. I can take my carrot bar and have myself a nice dinner. Okay, I have clients, man. I have clients in Uruguay and in South America and other places throughout the world where whenever my client needs something, she needs to pay her rent, she needs to buy her food, pay her bills. She takes an ounce of gold, sells it, and her whole debt's covered for that for like a month and a half. Okay? But yeah, you can eat well on gold.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, folks. 100 years ago, you have a $1 bill. You go into a nice store, and if you're a guy, you can get yourself a nice suit, a nice pair of pants, a belt, a hat, and a nice pair of socks and get out. If you had an ounce of gold 100 years ago, you go into a nice store, get yourself a suit, a hat, pants, a belt, and some nice socks and go out. Today, if I gave you an ounce of gold, you can go to, I don't live too far away from one of the largest outlets in the world in New York. I can go right to Zynga and get myself a nice suit or Armani Exchange, Yep. I gave you $1 today. What the heck you can buy? You can't even buy a stick of gum.
No.
It's ridiculous. And here's the thing, Jorge. At the end of the day is this. I look at charts all day. When I look at the chart of the price of gold, and there's some dips here and there, but the trend is up and up, man. It's outperformed the stock market every single time. When I look at the charts and the numbers for gold, the dollar has lost 98% of its value versus gold. I mean, folks, this is not a conspiracy theory or I'm pulling this out of thin air. This is a fact. You're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. The fact is your dollar, your Federal Reserve note, has lost 98% of its value versus gold. And all what Jorge and I are trying to tell you is that remaining 2% you have, you're going to lose that too. That's what it comes down to, folks.
And they need to do something about it sooner than later. It's better to be way early than just a couple seconds late. When this thing happens, if there is some kind of currency reset, or when the bank is just closed one day, and you've seen that picture, V, of that pensioner sitting down in front of the Greek bank in Greece, and there's lines of people, and there's military in front. This is happening right now. This isn't like 2001 Argentina, where that happened again, 2008 Zimbabwe, where that hyperinflated big time, and there's like $1 trillion notes that you could buy that won't buy you anything. Weimar Republic, 1920s. I mean, this has happened, and fiat currencies have a 100% failure rate. It's just a matter, and we have fiat currency right now. And so one of the things that people need to realize that this right here was a gold package. I got my lady a gold package. And then what we'll do is, as we begin the wrap up, I want to see if V has any final notes or recommendations for you. And while he does that, I just want to let you know that when you do buy your package, your gold package, then you're going to get 2 carrot bars. You're not buying the package for the gold content. I talked to someone the other day that said, hey, I want the VIP. It's $2,000. Am I getting $2,000 worth of gold? No, you're buying the commission level, because you're saying, I don't want to wait 5 years on the unit level making 50 cents here and $1 here, $20 here. I want to go big. I want to stand up, and I'm a leader of men. I'm an empowered woman, and I want to go up, and I want to get the 20% level. So you get the VIP, which comes with 3 carrot bars. So you get 3 of these, and they're mainly for show and tell, the vibrational frequencies of, ancient gold. Yeah, hopefully maybe that affects you positively when you carry it on your wallet. But the Sumerians and the Babylonians, ancient Egyptians, they loved it for, they buried their folks with, look at King Tut's mask, man, like 25 pounds worth of gold in it. And his coffin, I did a video on this, its coffin was like 200 and something pounds of solid gold. But you have here, folks, some flyers. You have a DVD that comes in with your different documents and so forth. You get things that talk about, why gold, the a real nice flyer that you can kind of memorize and show people, hey, this is a real thing. And more than anything, they have bullet points on there. So this is good material. Listen, man, I got my package and it's just been on a shelf. I'm not going to go and do a formal presentation and say, hey, let me tell you all about my company. It's like, no, here's the way we do it. Here's the way we've been growing. Here's what we've done so that we can get the numbers, the performance metrics that these old timers in Karatbars that I respect highly. They've been doing some great things and they've pioneered the system so that it's so much simpler for us to just plug in and go and start running immediately. We've been outperforming these guys in the past 3 weeks and they've been at it for years. And so those numbers are high because I'm not sitting there doing formal presentations and like, hey, here's my fancy suit. I mean, I'm wearing a suit right now, but hey, I'll wear cargo shorts and flip-flops all day long. That's like what I would rather be in, walking properties and stuff. But when I tell people, this is what I'm doing, they already have a respect for me because they know who I am and what we've done and what kind of workshops we run. But you have now the credibility of V the Guerrilla Economist. You can tap into me. We're not necessarily going to hop on the phone and convince your person to join. But one of the things we will do is periodically we'll run a public webinar. I'm going to produce a video from this particular recording where it'll be autoplay on our websites. You could certainly share a video and say, I'm doing Karatbars, I'm saving in gold. And check this out, folks. The greatest wealth transfer in history is occurring. You might as well make commissions from what is already going to happen. Right, V? Isn't that
right?
Yeah, it's putting it in simple form. And then all of a sudden you say, here's my website. Now I set up my website as codexteam.com. So I open up codexteam.com. What I do is they go right to my site and they enter in their email address. So it's very easy to set up a site. You guys can go to GoDaddy website tonight. You set up something real simple. You can make it elaborate, but like if you're on my team and you're a VIP, I'm going to make you a site. All right, because I'm paying for a whole bunch of bandwidth. And so if you're a VIP on my team, and I'll talk about for the people on Rogue Money team, the really motivated people that originally found out about Karatbars through V, we can come up with something, get a template and, we'll find a way to take care of you and have a site to where people can go here, join my Codex team for free. I'm going to give you a bunch of training videos, enter your email. So I built an email list of right around 5,000 people now since July of this year, like in 3 months. And then I give them little videos. So I do here, video overview with Codex team. And, it's me and my lady talking from our Win a hotel suite. It's an overview, right? So it's about an hour. And then I in-depth Karatbars gold training and how we're superior to other gold bullion. So then now they get this video. So our video sequence sells it. All right. So I don't do anything. They opt in, they look at the videos, and I still haven't done video 3 and 4. But once they do that, we're going to talk about selecting the Karatbars package. I've already recorded these. It's just a matter of putting them up and editing them. And then bonus video trainings, how to access additional entrepreneur training. And of course, this video that I'm doing today with V, who is our upline sponsor. So you folks are directly connected to him as well. And that should make you proud because we're in a very fast-moving team. We have major momentum, not just as a company, but at the team level. I mean, we're really doing some great things. And one of the things I tell people straight out is, hey, man, no selling, no recruiting, no website fees, no auto ships, none of this. We don't do health and wellness. We're not going to sell you protein shakes. You don't have to run like a workout group on Sundays in order for you to sell them a $4 each serving protein shake. And, you get people on that auto ship, which is like $150. Folks, I was just sold. I got an email that I got auto debited for another 4 grams of gold just today. And that's because as your team grows, the company starts paying you in gold. They could give me the commissions, but I'm going to turn right around and acquire more gold anyway. You're not really buying it. You're just trading your fiat currency for real money. And that's the mindset. People come here and they're like, wait a minute, I don't have to do this. I don't have monthly fees. I don't have annual fees. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have shopping portals or cashback deals or no energy drinks and this and that. No, it's the best product at the best time. Why join our team? Here it is. This is something that I set up. And for all of you Rogue Money people out there, all of the people that have been following V from the very beginning, I give you permission to rip this page off. Show this page, codexteam.com. Show it to a designer. Show it to someone on Fiverr for $5. I guarantee you, they will take this template and they will upload it on your site, and it'll cost you like $10. They'll do it for you. You can buy hosting for very cheap. So meet your trainers here. What did I put? I put Jorge Bueno, Marianne Marcos, my lady, the urban survival chick, and then I put V, the guerrilla economist. I didn't have anyone else to put here. I wasn't really connected. I just put my upline sponsor. We talk a little bit about who we are, and then they go ahead and start with lesson 1. Now, for the pages that I've done for other people, like my VIPs, I'll give you one example. This is Brother David Simone out of Las Vegas, who is building his team, and he's already rocking it. I mean, he already got like 2 gold packages yesterday, and he just joined. I mean, he sold his car to go to VIP. Yeah, I mean, he had a really nice Honda Accord, but what he did was he traded it with his older sister for her older vehicle, extracted some money, was able to pay some bills, but he used that money to buy the VIP. Why? Because he has vision. He wasn't one of the guys that says, oh, I don't know, it sounds okay. I'm like, look, man, I respect you as a person, I love you as a spiritual being of love and light, sure, but if you don't have $2,000 to start your own enterprise, then you're definitely never going to start up a Dunkin' Donuts, which you're going to need $6 million for. And real estate costs and labor costs and insurance, right, V? I mean, think about it. When you're going to open up a store, a bar, if you're going to have a boutique and you're just going to sell, man, you have rent, $5,000, $8,000 a month on the real estate, and then you have to pay yourself. Forget it. $2,000 gets you the highest level. You maximize the comp plan. If money's tight, $800 on the gold package, 8 bills, you're in, and you're at 15%. And you start getting paid all the 7 different ways. So like Brother David Simone in Las Vegas, his page is exactly like mine. So as I scroll down, you can see that it's exactly like mine. With the only difference is that there's 2 call to action buttons. Become an affiliate now, and that same button does what this top button does. So join my team for free. His people click that, they become an affiliate. There's no sense in becoming a customer, because if you change your mind and want to work the business later, you should really already be an affiliate, because then you're going to have to start fresh. For the purpose of the recording, I just wanted to show you that anyone could go ahead and model this, codexteam.com, steal it, full permission. I know that V, he would agree that in this team here, in Rogue Money, in Codex Team, what we want to do is we want to always lead from the front. Anything that we produce, our team is able to use it. Any copy, any email swipe files, anything that we produce, we want you to be successful. And I want nothing more than for you guys to start getting to $2,000 a week, and and start being able to, if you want to leave your job in the future and you want to get into a little bit more freedom, then you have that option. Don't go out and quit your job now. Yeah, I had one representative who did that, quit his taxi driving job, and he didn't even order his package yet. So like he quit his job because he had a bad day, and then he ordered his package like 3 weeks later, and now he's like really hustling it and getting to work. But it's not the smartest move to quit your job right away. Get to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week in commissions. I can't tell you what you're going to make, V, either. We're not here to give you any tax advice, legal advice, or any of that accounting advice. That's not our purpose here. We're not telling you that you're going to make a bunch of money. But here's what will happen. When you get someone that's interested in this venture, someone like V and his contacts, and all of his other people, his other writers too, his team at roguemoney.net, there's no question. These guys know what's happening in the world. Isn't that right, V, when you share with them?
And they're all on Karatbars.
Yeah. They're all. I see Brother Ken Shortgen, his link, and he'll do an article, and then he'll talk about Karatbars. Very smart, very savvy. And I think people can do the same thing. There's no reason why any of you couldn't start up a blog or a website and just start talking about gold and money, and post some random videos from YouTube, and then post your affiliate link all over the place, and then say, hey, contact me. I can help you get into gold in small denominations affordably, the highest grade and safest grade gold available. Go to my website, look at what I have, and then you're not having to sell it. You really don't have to sell it anyway, but I'm showing you the website. I just showed it to you earlier because I want you to see what's available to you, and also want you to see how you can automate it so that you're not having to run the living room sessions with all your family. You invite them over like for a Scandal premiere, or the new TV show that's going out. Hey guys, come on over, right? We're gonna watch Iron Man, and then right before it comes out, you ambush them with like, by the way, let's talk about gold. You don't have to do anything.
I think the best television series to tie in Karatbars, Jorge, is Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I think Oh, yeah, here's a zombie apocalypse. How are you going to buy and sell? How do you maintain an economy?
Right. What are you going to do when your ATM networks, ATMs are just off? There's no electricity. Maybe there's an EMP. My lady and I volunteer with the American Red Cross, and we know for a fact that when there's a disaster scenario like a Katrina, or when your ATM or your entire bank is underwater, the first thing that the federal government does is they shut off power. Local government will immediately do this too. They'll shut off power and they'll shut off water, because they're not going to have first responders go in there with live fallen wires and cables and things like that. So they cut off all services. So your fancy American Express Centurion card is not going to be able to buy you gas. But guess what? When you whip out little Care bars, whip out a little 1 grammer like this, and you can go ahead and get a gas tank, the smartest thing ever, because it's in denominations that are transaction friendly. If you have a kilo bar that you bought for $36,000, and that's all you have in your fancy suit as you're trying to get out of the city to your country house or wherever you're going to your bunker, what's that tank of gas going to cost you? It's going to cost you that kilo bar. They're not going to shave a little bit off and say, yeah, that's about enough. No, they're just going to take that bar. If you have the big 400 ouncer, that big 25-pound monster, $480,000 or whatever it is right now, the price, that big one, that bar of gold that you see in the movies, man, whatever you want, food, it's going to cost you whatever you have on you. So I'd rather whip out these little tiny ones and do it that way. Another thing, of course, is you should all have your portable wireless devices, and you should all be well versed in gun safety. I really do believe everyone should be well versed in that, because if you can't get it with gold, at least you can protect yourself that way. But we're talking about an extreme example. We never want it to go there. I really hope not. But V, you probably lived through Hurricane Sandy. You saw that. You probably heard the stories, right? People were prostituting themselves to be able to buy fuel or generator, right?
Mm-hmm. And there were people, why don't the government help us? Why doesn't the government send help?
Yeah.
Look, you have to be self-reliant. You have to be self-reliant. I mean, there was a lot of looting going on. Things were not safe at all. And folks, you got to understand, the thin veneer that we call civilization or society, something that could change very quickly. Pretty interesting. As you were talking, I just got this blurb on my news feed. It says record 94.6 million Americans not in labor force, 56,647,000 women not working.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and the other sad part about numbers like that, V, is that you and I know that a lot of the people that are counted in the labor force participation rate and in actual having a job are people who can't get a real job, and now they're waiting tables or bartending, right?
That's it.
A little part-time job.
The bartender waitress economy, or the bartender recovery.
Yeah. There's a solution here with Care Bars, and what it will do, I think, going forward is we'll hop on with perhaps V, we can invite the entire team to a live call in the future where I will coordinate this presentation. Today was freestyle. Today was, let's have a conversation with our people. Let our affiliates know that we're here for them. We care, that we want to work for you. And I can tell you, folks, look, I don't want to mention the amounts, but you know that they're making some good coin in Care Bars.
Oh, yeah. There's quite a few. Yeah. They're doing very, very well. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And folks, it's what Jorge mentioned. Think about this for a second. Then on the back end, the company's paying you in free gold.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, you tell me what other company. There's no better way of getting gold than Care Bars. I mean, you can get it for free. It's awesome.
I know we did a little gloom and doom about, maybe this will collapse. Well, guess what? It's going to collapse. It's going to reset at some point. It's just a matter of channeling your energy from, hockey. Yeah, the guy running around putting the ball in the hole. Yeah, channeling that energy into a business and you building that empire. Anything in closing that you'd like to say to these folks as a strong call to action, because time is short and they need to set up their free account and grant packages as soon as possible?
Absolutely. I know better than most people what the heck's really going on, because I'm in it. I see it day to day. I talk to some very key people. I have contacts high up in the military and intelligence world, and the banking world, the financial world. So I know it. Now, people always ask me, knowing what you know, V, don't you lose sleep? Aren't you scared? Aren't you worried? And the answer is an emphatic no. Okay? No, I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I'm prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Okay? Because you have to understand, you cannot operate in fear. So what do I do day in, day out? I work. I continue to create contacts, networks. I continue to create businesses. I continue to operate because that's what I'm called to do. What we have going with Carrot Bars is not for anybody to listen to and freak out, but understand that you've been given a very powerful tool. You've been given the keys to financial security. You've been given an insurance policy to guarantee you safe passage through what is to come. And not only that, but the proper positioning that on the other side of whatever it is that's going to come, you will come out as a winner. Every commodity, every real, tangible asset works on the laws of supply and demand. I will tell you wholeheartedly that the demand for gold has never been higher. You are at the right place, at the right time, with the right product. Even if somebody is at the wrong place, is at the wrong time, and he presses the wrong button, irrespective of whatever the heck happens, you can position yourself for growth, for prosperity, for security, not only for yourselves, but for your families. And most of all, better than these ridiculous multi-level marketing schemes where people are auto shipping toilet paper into their house and potions and lotions and wrinkle creams, you can be a part of something where people are auto shipping gold. And having that as a way to protect and uplift one another. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. My advice to anybody, get involved, sign up, be active, learn from this webinar. I guarantee you, Jorge and I will be doing many, many of these together. Be a part of what Team Codex is doing, because we will be out there in the forefront. We will lead the charge. And irrespective of what happens, I guarantee you this. This is the team that's going to take over the U.S. There's no doubt about it.
I believe it 100%. I heard you say in one of your radio shows that when little 7-pound baby Jesus, when the Magi would bring little baby Jesus gifts, they weren't bringing him 401ks. And, right? What did you say? Japanese yen?
I said they weren't bringing him 401ks, Roth IRAs, and Japanese yen carry trades.
Right. Gold, frankincense, myrrh, gold primarily, right? And this is the commodity of the day since the biblical times for 5,000 plus years. I really enjoyed your words of encouragement for the folks out there building this thing. We're off to a great start. We are already blowing out records that other people have set up in Carrot Bars in the past. We're already superseding them. This team right here that you folks are all plugged into, I would encourage you to, we're not asking you to go to our links to sign up, okay? Our links are private. You need to go back to the person that thought about you, that cared enough about you to invite you to find out what Carrot Bars is all about. You need to thank them. And after you finish thanking them, you need to tell them, give me your affiliate link because I need to get in on this. I need to sign up. But thank you for considering me. Because if you're going to have supreme confidence in anything in life, as a leader in business or in life, you need to know that when you're presenting this to anyone, that you are doing them a huge favor. And that's called the gift shift. From one of my mentors, Joel Bauer. That is the gift shift, where you know you have something so beautiful that people need, something that they desperately need to be successful, but now you're actually sharing it with them. You're not bothering people. You're not interrupting their day. No, you're sharing the most precious opportunity for them to trade their fiat currency into real money. And you heard it from V today. You heard about history. You heard about the things that are about to happen. You heard about how close we are and how we are in these currency wars. And now what we want to do is ask you to, as you join our team, plug in, okay? Because you can't just buy your affiliate package and just go back to your job or get back busy with family. Plug in. We will help you. Send your people to us. You don't have to become a gold expert. You don't have to get an assay or certification. You don't have to do any of that. You just need to become a professional inviter. Hey, I'm plugged in with V the Guerrilla Economist, and he is one of the guys on my team. Use his popularity, use his celebrity, use his name. You let people know you are on his team, because that will help you as well. And then when they do plug in, they're going to hear directly from him. I'll chime in when I can for the Codex team. We're going to be doing these often. We'll be doing live events where you can bring your guests here. It's not going to be a presentation like we did today. This is a behind-the-scenes private conversation for our teams, for this fast-moving team. We're a maglev train. We don't back up. We don't slow down, and we're starting to move. Get on, get in right now. And then later, we'll do a formal presentation, short and sweet, 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, where we'll do a presentation, we'll highlight the opportunity, we'll do some Q&A, and then at the end, we'll tell your people to sign up with you. Done deal. So we're going to get it to where it's short and sweet. Today, just wanted to touch base with all of our private team. So V, man, I had a great time today. I'm glad that we were able to link up. Later on, we'll do some more private mastermind sessions like this one, where we can get into some serious affiliate training. We are going to make sure that you have all the tools that you need so that you can prosper and start getting your euros loaded onto your MasterCard. Take care of your family long term and be prepared and have that plan B, like V likes to call, so that you can have a plan of escape or a plan to prosper from what is already going to happen. So thanks for being with us today, and we'll talk to you soon.